You're on CYInterview.
I'm Christianic, featured columnist Jay Bilstein is with me today on CYInterview. We welcome dancer and host of the Las Vegas show, Crazy Girls, Dani Elizabeth, a past CYInterview guest. Crazy Girls is the longest-running burlesque show in America. Dani, thanks for being back with us on CYInterview. How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to hear your voice and chat with you today.
We always enjoy speaking with you, Dani, and always enjoy your stories and your humor and your great dance background and all that Crazy Girls has offered to Las Vegas's entertainment history. So I just want to ask you, the last few months obviously have been challenging for everybody in the entertainment community. So what have you done for yourself to keep up your spirits for the day when Crazy Girls gets to return to the Las Vegas Strip?
Well, during this time, I've been trying to keep as busy as possible, like I'm sure, most of us have, and I still try to keep somewhat of a routine by working out, and I like to create videos and post content on my social media for fun because it keeps me busy. And, staying in touch with people. Zoom calls have been great, so we can still see each other, or FaceTime with family and friends, and, just kind of still keep in the back of our minds that we are going back, and if we keep pretending like we're going back tomorrow, then we'll be ready to go back, and yet still be able to enjoy the time that we have off currently, which is been a long amount of time, much longer than anticipated in the beginning. But if we keep using the time that we have to do productive things, then by the time we get back, we'll have all these great memories and stories to share, and, still be excited about getting back to work, which is the ultimate end goal.
To understand your importance to the Las Vegas entertainment scene, you are the voice, the host of History, one of the longest-running shows on the Las Vegas Strip, but also the longest-running burlesque show in America. How does that feel?
I have to tell you, it's pretty awesome. I think that maybe it's a biased opinion, but I think that we have the best show on the Strip. And yes, it is the longest running burlesque show in America, but it's also brings people from decades back. So that tells you something right there. And I love being a part of it. I was also a part of Jubilee, which was at the time the longest running showgirl show on the Strip and in the country, which no longer is here with us. But to be a part of two iconic shows is everything.
And, of course, Crazy Girls takes place at the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. I know that obviously there are government phases, but are there any estimations when you think you guys could return to perform in front of a crowd? Have you guys talked about how that's going to work? What have you guys discussed?
Right now, it's kind of a week-by-week basis. We do have tickets for sale for the end of June, but we're still anticipating that might be pushed back. And when we do come back, we'll, because we're a smaller show, we don't need a lot of rehearsals or, a lot of things, a lot of time to be able to get back to work. But there will be probably modifications as, how much interaction that there's that we have with the crowd and the audience. Meet and greets will probably change up the dynamics of that a little bit. But as of now, we're just kind of on the waiting game, and we're waiting to see, how the other properties for Caesars Entertainment, how they open up and, their process of coming back and how their business goes, and then we'll follow suit. So it is a bit of the waiting game, but I feel that we're getting closer. So that's exciting.
Jay?
Dani, I think, based on my reading, you're one of mine. You hail from the great state of New York, don't you?
Yes, I do. I'm from Upstate New York, Albany, New York. I'm a 518 area code still. I will not change my phone number. And, I love Upstate New York. Yes, that's
I was born and raised in New York City, so
okay.
Upstate New York. Oh, look how you said that suspiciously, like a typical upstater, huh? From New York City, huh? City boy, yeah. But we loved. I mean, all of us who had the opportunity to head upstate, whether it was to the Catskills, whether it was to the Adirondacks, whether it was to Albany, whether it was out toward Buffalo. New York State's a tremendous state, big state. A lot of farms, a lot of interesting natural resources, and it's always nice to be able to connect with someone from the Empire State, the great state of New York. How was it for you? I know you went to school in, where was it, North Carolina?
I went to school in North Carolina for my first 2 years of schooling, and then I ended up going back to New York, and I actually graduated from SUNY Cortland. So
you went to Cortland.
Yes,
Very nice.
Yes,
very nice. Mighty Cortland, part of the State University of New York. And was it real? Well, we're talking about crazy girls, so was it real crazy for you to go out west? Because as a guy coming from New York City and then getting out west and all, I mean, what a difference in so many different ways. How was it for you initially when you went out west?
So initially I came out west and I landed in LA, and that's where I got an internship that I needed to graduate school. And yes, it was definitely a bit of a culture shock, but I was looking for that. I knew what I was getting myself into. I wanted warm weather and city life and opportunities. Whereas, growing up in upstate New York, that was harder to find. Unless we traveled down to the city, which for me was about a 3.5-hour difference, for the drive, you didn't get that life 24/7. So I was in search of it. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into before I even got into it. Then once I got out here, and LA is such a fabulous place. Like, you have mountains and you have beach life and city and beautiful people and things to do. And at least that city there shuts down by 2 a.m. So you can't get yourself into too much trouble. But I found a couple different dance studios, and I started training while I was still working. And that's kind of what brought me into the direction of, well, I think that I could really, I think that I want to dance professionally. So after 2.5 years of living there, I started auditioning. And finally, about a year later, I landed my first job, which was Jubilee at Bally's at the time. And that's how I got myself out to Las Vegas. And I thought I would just be in Las Vegas for 6 months. I said, you know what? I just want to put it down on my resume to say, yes, I was a professional dancer. I had a salary, and I went to work every night dancing and being on a stage. And now, almost 8 years later, here I am hosting Crazy Girls and dancing in Crazy Girls, and still loving every moment of the Las Vegas life and performer lifestyle.
Well, you certainly sound like you do. I am curious, though. So you had this background in dance. I mean, you were formally trained. Did you ever for a moment say, I hear the siren song and the call of Broadway. Hey, I'll go down to New York City, I'll go down to Manhattan, and I'll live the life of a dancer on the, I'll get down to the mean streets of New York City, and I'll attempt to make my way on Broadway.
I only thought about it for a hot moment because I have to tell you, my first priority was making sure that I lived in a state where there was sunshine. Growing up in upstate New York, having, negative degree temperature and snow all the time, I was like, you know what, because my parents begged me. They're like, come on, honey, you could go down to the city, you could dance, you could do commercial work, you could get back into singing and so many great shows and different opportunities, and you'd be so close to us. And I was like, I'm in search for sun and maybe even sand and ocean, and that's why I started it, in Los Angeles. But I was like, I need to go find warmer weather. I'm a sun baby, true and true.
Well, it's so interesting what you're saying. When I was in college in New York City, and I was down at NYU, which is in Greenwich Village and all, I got a job at one point in time as a trainer in a health club. Now, this was before Noah built that boat called the Ark and put pairs of animals on it. So this was a long, long time ago. And there weren't any formal, personal trainers, and there were no certifications and all. You just kind of got a job, and if you knew what you're doing, and I'd been a competitive powerlifter and, done all kinds of sports stuff and all, mainly in strength sports. And I started working this health club in Greenwich Village. Well, lo and behold, this was, around the time of, Jane Fonda and all the aerobics craze and this type of thing. And there were a lot of aerobics classes and dancercise and jazzercise, or whatever it was at the time.
Right.
And they were led by dancers, my coworkers. Many of my coworkers were Broadway dancers who needed that second job in case the gig with a given Broadway show, a show closes. Everything's not like Crazy Girls. Everything doesn't run decades and decades and decades. So they needed a backup. And I had this tremendous opportunity to spend a lot of time with dancers, and I developed an immense amount of respect for dancers. I've used this term with many people here on CYInterview. I'm going to use it with you. I always saw dancers as not simply athletes, but artletes. It's kind of physical art meeting athletics, and the training and the discipline and the pain and the focus that I saw these women go through was second to none. I even had the opportunity to train some of them back in the day. Some of them used Nautilus and all. I mean, they were tough. Tell me a little bit about your background in terms of training, how you keep yourself in shape, how you stay focused, how you balance the mental side and the physical side of being a dancer.
I love that you even asked that question, because most people don't even recognize that to be a question to ask unless you are a dancer or you've been around it that much. But it is so true. And I trained, since I was a kid, I always trained in ballet. And ballet is one of the hardest forms of dance because it's something that you have to be so completely 100% consistent with in order to be able to have the turnout and the lines. It's something you have to practice every day for hours. And so I did that my entire life. And then I also did a little bit of jazz and, funk and some hip hop, because those were important to be able to go branch out into the world. So by the time I got to high school level, I started auditioning for different colleges, and that's why I chose UNC Charlotte at the time. When I was a freshman, I went into their dance program, which was extremely competitive. And their dance team, we would go to practices. We'd have to run 3 miles before we even got to dance rehearsal. And I was like, how are we supposed to run 3 miles and then expect to whack our knee to our face and do all these great grand leaps and everything? But that really helped me to realize that throughout my life, I would still stay fit by running and training, and then get my flexibility back by taking class. So that's what I did for years after that, which, now here I am at Crazy Girls, and I'm so excited because my gym finally just opened up. And I've been doing workouts at home and, took things like my hoverboard and would get on the scale with and without my hoverboard, and hammers that we have in the garage, and trying to figure out what things weigh so I could use those and incorporate those in my at-home workouts. But now my gym's opened back up, so I take my class Monday through Friday, 12:15. It's a 45-minute workout, but by the middle of it, I'm drenched in sweat. And just having that has felt so good to know, okay, I'm going to be ready to go back to work because I'm training again. So I'm super excited about my gym being open. And I think you're absolutely right. Dancers are always in that mindset, trying to get the next gig, trying to, give up anything they have to give up to just work. And I would like to see in the future, I'd like to see a change in the sense that dancers should be more protected and considered more valuable than what the industry gives dancers this sense of you're always replaceable, which is true, but actors and other headliners and performers of different talents, they're more protected. And so I would like dancers to go into a job knowing that they are great and they're not going to be replaced because they work really hard, and that's the mindset that dancers always have, which it makes them different from everybody else.
You know, as you're saying that, I'm thinking there are so many professions and vocations in the United States that I don't think get the respect they deserve. Two of them that just hop to mind. I mean, one is being a dancer. The other is being a teacher is something that pops to mind. Yeah. Where, you know, where would society be without teachers and educators? But when I think of dancers, I had one of my training partners during that period in time. She was my training partner for about 6 months. She was a dancer, probably the toughest person mentally I ever trained with. Just focused and getting after it, set after set, exercise after exercise, and so forth. And then she'd have to go teach classes. Yeah. And it was pretty remarkable. Let me ask you, in your kind of tool bag of what you have used for training, have you ever lifted weights? Have you ever done Pilates? Have you ever done yoga, calisthenics, Alexander technique, any of those things?
Oh, gosh, all of the things, yes. I still to this day, the type of workouts that I do at my gym, it's a cross training gym. So it's all weight intensive, and there's a coach, so it's a small group training. I also do yoga. I don't know if my yoga studio is opened yet, but I figured because I have my cross training at the moment, I can wait to go back to yoga. I've done Pilates. Floor Pilates. I've done reformer Pilates on the actual machines. Any type of training, I look at life as training. So if I have a day off and, you know, we're planning a fun trip to go to the lake, then I get in the lake and I make sure that I swim for 20 minutes because it makes me feel like I got a bit of a workout in. And it's always that mindset because your body is your tool. So you have to keep your body in check and yes, of course, for a visual to look good on stage, but also so that you can still do what you're doing on stage. And the older you get, I feel like the more training we end up doing because we want to be the best of the best, and we want to be stronger than the 18-year-olds. So every day is training. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you have a day off from your workout, as a dancer, we always find a way to get a walk-in or a jog or swim some laps or do a few push-ups just because it's our day off. So, yes, always.
You know, you said a couple of very, very interesting things that I'd like to pick up with. One, you know, I'm listening as you speak, and I said, look, there are a lot of attractive women in the United States. There are a lot of attractive women in the world. If being attractive was all it took to be a dancer, it would be a much easier pursuit.
Oh, my gosh.
And I think a lot of people in the audience at times might not realize, oh, she's beautiful or she's graceful. It's so much more. Dances, you know, we watch in the United States, of course, every weekend in the fall is dominated by football, and we understand the commitment. I'll invoke the now great Las Vegas Raiders, right? The historic tagline or motto of the Raiders is commitment to excellence. Dancers, by their nature, have an implicit commitment to excellence. There is no such thing as a mediocre professional dancer. I don't know if you'd agree with me, but I've never seen anyone who deigned to call himself a professional dancer and really was, who was mediocre. Of course, certain people are born with greater athletic skills than others. But you get to a point where you're a professional dancer in a show, you're at the top of your food chain there. And it's really an amazing, I think it's more than a profession. I'd also say it's a calling. That's one thing. I wonder if you agree that's a calling too. The other thing is, you said, and Chris, we have our quote. We have our mighty Dani Elizabeth quote, Crazy Girls quote right here. I look at life as training. Sound familiar, Chris Yandak?
Yeah.
Why does that sound familiar to you?
Because that's how you look at life.
Because that's how I look at life, and Chris knows because Chris was actually in one of my training programs. So the fact of the matter is, I look at life. I love what you just said. That's phenomenal. But if you could focus on that, do you think I'm right that dancing is not simply a profession; it's a calling?
Oh, 100%. It's a calling, and you're absolutely correct. It requires talent and training and consistency. And I for anybody out there that says that dance is not a sport, well, they have never tried it. I mean, at least a football player, they can go and do their job, and they have to be physical during their job and physically fit in order to do their job. But they're also putting a helmet on, so they don't have to smile and make eye contact and look good at the same time.
Well, that's why I use the term athlete, right? Because you've got to be an athlete, but you're also moving visual arts. So imagine if everybody who got on a football field also had to look like a male model.
Exactly.
I think it'd be a very different game.
It's probably about 2% of the world would be able to play football.
You know, so it's very, very different. Have you been in close contact with all your fellow performers? Is everybody champing at the bit? Do you keep in contact with video calls or telephone calls?
Yes.
How's everybody been keeping contact? And what's the esprit de corps been for Crazy Girls during this downtime?
Some of us have seen each other, and everybody in the cast that I've at least video called or text message, and we do that on a fairly regular basis. You know, there's only 6 of us in the main cast, and then we have swings as well. But because we're a smaller cast, you know, we're all very tight. So for us to go this long and not see each other, it starts feeling almost uncomfortable because it's a family away from our family, and now we're not able to see that family on a daily basis. So I have personally stayed in touch with everybody from the cast, and you know, even our producers. I ask them how they're doing and what's going on, and we're all kind of in the same boat. We all have used this time to connect with people and, you know, stay in touch with our families and work on personal projects, but all of us very much so miss being at work and being on stage and doing what we love with the people that we love. So because of that, I do truly look forward to getting back, and I, you know, can't wait for that moment that we all get back and we get our first show done and we all can go out and hang out and, you know, have a drink after the show and just reconnect all together will be totally fabulous.
Well, in addition to your tremendous ability as a dancer and your beauty, it's clear why you're the host, because you are a phenomenal public speaker. I think if you ever decide to hang up dancing, you got a future in public speaking. You're dynamic, straight to the point, and very, very sharp and intelligent. It's been absolutely wonderful speaking with you. I hope you come back with us.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been wonderful speaking with you guys. I feel like I could chat forever. I mean, I think this is the thing about quarantine. We get so excited to have conversations with people and just connect. It's all about connecting. And I think that this time has reminded us.
Oh,
100%.
Oh, absolutely. Before we close, Dani, what has it been like over the last year, you know, aside from being a host, a comedian, a dancer, the voice of one of Las Vegas' longest shows? What has it been like to expand out into the magic game and get to perform with Murray over at his show at the Tropicana, Murray the Magician?
Yes, it's been fabulous because, as you know, that Murray and I have been dating for quite a few years now, and to be able to work with somebody that I love very much and also admire because he's at the top of his game. He is hilarious. He is, you know, magic is his whole entire world, and he is so fabulous at everything that he does. So to be able to work with him and learn from him and have those moments together on stage is so much fun. It's been great. And I don't, let me tell you, I do not do magic, but now I understand it and I'm in that world more. And I find it even more fascinating now than before I met Murray. So it's been a lot of fun to be able to work on different things with him and be a part of that and learn from somebody that's so amazing at their craft, which he totally is.
Oh, absolutely. We always enjoy having Murray on besides you, of course. In closing, what would you like to tell everybody about when Crazy Girls comes back? What's it going to mean to you the first night that you perform again?
Just asking that question almost made me feel a little bit emotional. I feel like but when we get back and we have that first moment on stage, there's going to be a bit of an emotional moment because I've always been grateful for what I do because I know the job that I do is something that a lot of people are still striving to do and audition all the time to be able to perform on a stage, especially on a stage in Las Vegas. So I just want everyone to know that when they come, that I am so grateful for people buying tickets to our show, coming to see us, supporting us, and also enjoying what they're watching because I guarantee I'm probably enjoying it just as much as everybody else in the audience.
Sounds great. Crazy Girls will be back at the Planet Hollywood Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip one day very soon. So for their host and dancer and comedian Dani Elizabeth, featured columnist Jay Bildstein, and CYInterview, I'm Chris Shinnick.